Hey guys, Sandy here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing this sketch for Follow a Sketch February and 100 Sketchy videos. Lots of labels and fun little things right here. I decided to pull out my How to Kill a Kit with Style kit for this month. And I'm also going to be scrapbooking these two photos, and I will trim them down a little bit. So let's see what I can do. I'm just going to flip through my papers that I have here that I have already set aside for my kit, and I'm just checking them out and seeing which one I want to be used for the background. Now I do have some papers that I'd already cut into, so I leave those up at the top because I think I'm going to punch out some labels out of those, but ultimately I don't. And then I grab a piece of khaki colored cardstock because this is a pretty busy pattern and I don't want to add more busy pattern on top of it, especially since the embellishment is so pronounced on the page. I don't want your eye to not know where to look at since there is just so much for this layout. I also went and found a 12 by 12 almost sheet of vellum because in the sketch it does look like there is a little bit of a differentiation on this top third or maybe top quarter of the page, so I want to go ahead and make sure that I do that as well. I'm going to trim down the khaki cardstock. I think it's about 9.5 by 10, somewhere around there. And then I'm going to place that down, and it does cover up a lot of the background. So if you wanted to, you could gut this paper, but I'm not concerned about it. The whole point of me using this paper this month is to kill it, so don't want to worry about that. I do pull out my wood grain washi tape. Then I realize that the vellum is not stuck down, and I place the washi tape in the incorrect space. So I'm just going to line up the vellum on my grid mat and then place my washi tape down and match the grid lines on either side of it. So again, this is not adhering the vellum down, so I'm just pushing it into place. And then I wrap the washi tape around the back side of the layout, and that's going to give me a little bit of adhesion. I do know that I'm going to be covering up that area of vellum, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of ATG right there, and that's just going to help that vellum stick down. So I have these scrap bits of this vanilla cardstock, and fun moment, they are already 3.5 inches wide, so I just placed my 3x4 photos down on top of them, trim them down to 3.5 by 4.5. That way I have a pretty significant mat around both of the photos. Sometimes I want a thinner mat, sometimes I want a thicker mat. This time we're going for a thicker one. And I'm doing that because, again, these are smaller sized photos and I don't want them to get lost with the amount of decoration that the sketch is calling for. Now, I wasn't sure which direction I was going to go with this, so I'm just pulling out some of the things in the kit and just trying to figure out what I'm going to do. Now, I did toy with the idea of abandoning the labels altogether and going with these little sticker tags, but I quickly nixed that just because that's just a lot of khaki on top of khaki, and I do need a little bit more color on there. So I grab my ticket punch right here, and I'm going to be using the cut apart sheet to go ahead and get me some beautiful tickets to place here on the embellishment area where it kind of looks like labels. You could make it into tickets, whatever you want. It's just some horizontal elements, and I don't put on as many as is in the sketch, just because I think when I get to this certain point, I've done enough. Like, I don't want more. More is more until you're done. So I went ahead and punched these bad boys out. I don't even use all of them. I'm going through the die cuts that I had picked out. I was trying to toy around with some of the words just to figure out what in the world I was going to title this thing because I really wasn't sure. Now I thought I was going to bring in some of these feathers here just to add a different element to the page, but they didn't make it on either. And that butterfly definitely did not make it on. I grabbed this label right here and decide this is where I'm going to build my title. And I'm just looking through and trying to figure out what in the world that is going to mean. So I go ahead and put that down because I know that's going to be my title, and my title needs to be right around this area. And I'm not really worried about building the rest of the embellishment. I decide that my title is going to be Yes to Steak, and that is because we are actually at the Texas Roadhouse in these photos. Not that you could tell. I don't even think you could really tell before I trimmed them down. It just looks like some restaurant. Like you knew we were in some restaurant, but you don't know where. But I do put that in the journaling, so we don't have to worry about that whatsoever. Now, I do not have any more E's for this type of letter sticker that I have going on. Sometimes I take an F and add a little bit to it to make an E. This time I took the 3 and I just trimmed down the bottom of the 3 or the top of the E, depending upon which way you look at it, just to kind of make it a little bit more uniform. So now I'm going to take all of these little ticket / label shape items that I have, and I'm just going to start building up a little bit of a cluster. So in the sketch, it is much more linear and one size all the way down with a little bit of embellishment mixed in. I'm just kind of going with what I feel looks good on my layout. I'm trying to have places that overlap and nestle into each other, and I'm not really concerned that the way that I'm creating this doesn't really look like the sketch. That doesn't bother me whatsoever. So I go ahead and tuck in this floral ticket down here because I think, you know, I've already got the green floral ticket there, so I might as well add a little bit more. Ultimately, that bad boy comes off because I don't really like it there. So I am taking a ticket and putting it on top of the tag. So we are layering that up. And then I decided to add this little sticker that says Smile Big. And I did that for a couple reasons. One, because Alex looks like he's miserable. I have a huge smile on my face and Lana just looks awkward. So I figured that the smile big, you could interpret that any way you want it, literal, funny, however you want it to do it, and it would fit each of our faces in these photos. Now I did put Love Beyond Words on here as well, and also We Are Family. Now the Love Beyond Words could go either way. It could just, you could look at that and be like, "Aw, what a family moment. They love each other." But honestly, it's more like we are all lovers of steak. So it's more like Love Beyond Words of the steak we're getting ready to shove in our faces. And now we have Lana giggling in the background. So I am going to dump out some flowers. When I originally saw this layout, I thought I was going to have a row of flowers up across the top, kind of intermingled with that wood grain paper. I don't like how that looks. I'm going to change that up. What I end up, I'm thinking that I'm going to like bounce the flowers across the wood grain right now. I'm still not loving it, but I decide to add more flowers because more is more. And I figure that that will help me out. What adding more flowers does is it solidifies the idea that I want the flowers going vertically up and down the page to really just magnify that this is the embellished area. So I'm going to have the flowers go from the top right of the page to the bottom right of the page and really just kind of showcase the fact that this is a linear embellished layout. The flowers bouncing along the wood grain just doesn't do it for me. I'm not happy with it. Now I was picking through these kind of creamy white flowers because I wanted to fill in the blue flowers. I didn't have enough of the size I wanted. I had one of those flowers left. So I decided to skip that and then leave some of the flowers just one layer with blue, some of the flowers one layer with the creamy white, and then some of them I would double up as well. And I'm going to definitely bring in more of the metallics with that because I'm going to go to my stash and get the gold brads. I am using a little bit of ATG just to hold the flowers in place so I know where they're going to go and they're not going to fall off while I'm trying to poke holes in to get the brads through. So I'm just using a hole piercer right here, and this one is not my favorite hole piercer in the world, but I broke my favorite one, and my favorite one was the Making Memories, and you guys know they don't make memories anymore. So if there was an awkward gap right there in the voiceover, sorry, I got a phone call, and for some reason it likes to interrupt my iPad when I'm doing voiceover, which is frustrating. So I'm going to pop in these gold brads, and then I'm just going to poke them all the way through. I'm going to flip the brad tines down, and I still have not found that awesome tool that Sharon sent me with her Christmas card. And I honestly have no idea where it is in this room. I think I'm going to have to do like a big deep clean to find it because I put it somewhere where I wouldn't lose it and promptly lost it, which stinks. So I do go ahead and decide that I do want to jazz up this wood grain washi a little bit. So I grab the glitter kind of floral type washi that I have going on. I guess it's not really a washi, it's glitter tape. And I decide to overlap it and not just straight on top of each other, but to leave it so you see a little bit of the wood grain. And I have to straighten it up because I messed up and it's really crooked and it's driving me nuts. And then in doing that, I bend up my photo, so we got to tape that sucker down. And then I decide to grab my white pen. This is a Uniball Signo broad white pen. I picked them up off of Amazon. This is the white pen that works the best for me. I just like the way it writes. When they start to dry up though, they really just fail. Like it is an immediate fail. So hopefully these bad boys will last a little bit of time. So I write January 31st, 2020. We continue the Texas Roadhouse tradition when Alex is on leave. I swear he was excited to be there, even though you really can't tell in the photo. My smile makes up for any of his and Lana's weirdo awkwardness. So that is going to do it for the journaling and also for this layout. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Be sure to join the Scrapping Reflections Facebook group where you can get access to all of the sketches if you would like to play along. I just got to say, people are creating amazing layouts using these sketches, and it is a super fun time. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you again real soon for another video.